Hello and welcome to this new video here on the Museum Modeler channel. This is going to be a quick comparison between different Fletcher-class destroyers in 1/700 scale. If you're doing any kind of fleet vignette for the Second World War, you're probably going to wind up needing a Fletcher. These things were produced in tremendous quantities. I don't know the number offhand, but hundreds, I think more than 200 or so were built. But this was the mainstay of the Pacific Fleet during World War II, as far as serving as a carrier escort and picket and submarine guard. So you find a lot of them out there. Because of this, of course, there are a lot of versions of this model available on the market. Now, I'm going to take a look at two offerings by Tamiya, and then one older offering by Skywave or Pit Road, depending on which way you want to go with that name. But these are all in 700 scale. They're all very similar, and just take a look at some of the differences between the different kits. So we'll start with the Tamiya USS Fletcher DD-445 right here. This kit is very, very similar to Tamiya's other USS Cushing. Now, they made a couple of different Fletcher-class kits, but I've got an early war and a late war offering just to compare them, because they're all pretty similar across the board. But these kits are actually identical, the Fletcher and the Cushing. The difference being the aft superstructure, really. The Fletcher has a higher anti-aircraft tower on the aft superstructure, whereas the Cushing, they eliminated that mid-war. The other major difference is, of course, the bridge structures. So with that in mind, I'll go ahead and state that these hulls are identical in the kits, the difference being sprues C, D, and E. Fletcher comes with a sprue C. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is your round bridge. It's your early war bridge shape, as well as your aft anti-aircraft tower. By comparison, Cushing comes with your more angled bridge and then your different aft superstructure. Tamiya figured out it was easiest to just put these parts, which are the only real differences in the kits, on separate sprues and just start churning out the rest of them. There's no real complaints with the kits. The biggest issue, it's been seen online a good bit, is the 5-inch gun turrets. They're under scale and the detail's a little bit soft on them. You're probably best replacing them with the Skywave E6 weapon set, which you can find from time to time online. Sometimes it's in stock, sometimes it's not. It's got to get shipped over from Japan, so that's always been an issue with supply. But if you get that, you can replace those under-molded 5-inch guns and then any other details that seem lacking to you. Now, by comparison, the Skywave kits, this is an older kit that Skywave came out with. Because of that, it's not in production, but you can still find it online. I just checked around on eBay before I made this video, and it's like $5 or $6. I spent $3 on it on a model trade site, so it's certainly not a big investment. And more bang for your buck, it comes with two identical Fletcher-class kits. Now, this is also the early war Fletcher with the round bridge. However, it's the round bridge and the reduced afterstructure. So, you know, the design changed over time, and depending on which particular Fletcher you're looking to model, you might have to look into the specifics of that ship's design at the time. For example, this Cushing here is a good stand-in for the USS Johnston from the Battle of Samar, which is actually probably what I'll be doing with this one. The Skywave Fletchers with the round bridge and the reduced afterstructure are good for ships like the O'Bannon, which is what I'll be using it for. And then if I want to go with an early war Fletcher, an early Fletcher design rather, you go with the Tamiya Fletcher class with the higher aft superstructure. So lots of different options. You just got to make sure you're keeping track of how your ship looked at the time in which you're representing it. The Skywave Fletchers, they're very similar to the Tamiyas. The entire ship comes on one sprue. I'll pick this one up because I haven't cut it open yet. And you get, you know, all your pieces there on one nice fret. And of course, you got two of those. The same complaints about the gun turrets. They are undermolded on the Skywave kit, which is odd considering that Skywave E6 detail set makes up for that with the better gun turrets. You'd think that they would have come out with their better turrets on their own kit, but you know, old molds, what can you say? The size of these kits is identical. You could actually switch out the waterline plate for a Skywave on a Tamiya and you wouldn't be able to tell. That being said, I scaled them out, and there are some discrepancies between these kits and the real ships. They all come to 401 scale feet in length, whereas actual Fletchers were 376 and a half feet in length. So you're a good 25 feet long, scale-wise. You know, at 700 scale, that's you know, less than a half an inch, but still, it's there. The other issue is the beam. These ships scale to 36 and a half feet wide, whereas the actual Fletchers were 39 and a half feet wide. So they're a little bit long in the length, but a little bit narrow in the beam. Now that's only a 3-foot difference. That's negligible at this scale, but the length is certainly notable. That said, because they are all identical across the board, at least if you've got multiple Fletchers, they'll all be consistent with each other. The other major differences, I mean, again, it just comes down to little things. The stacks on the Tamiya kits, I think, are a little bit more nicer molded than the stacks on the Fletchers. The Fletchers, the molding's a little bit thick. I'm sorry, the Skywave Fletchers, the molding is a little bit thick, but that comes with it being an old mold. Regarding the secondary ammunition, the torpedo tubes on all of them are okay. You know, none of them are great, but they're all okay. If you wanted to spruce that up with a little bit of brass rod on the outside for detail, it certainly would be worth your time to do so. And then when it comes to the other secondary ammunition, the 50 calibers, I'm sorry, the 20 millimeters and whatnot, you're always best off going aftermarket. I've yet to find a really good stock Oerlikon or a stock 1.1. The Trumpeter, I think I mentioned before, the Trumpeter USS Lexington kit, the 1942 kit, it's got great secondary armament. It's the only one I've ever seen. All the rest is just, you know, so you're best off getting a detail set. I do have a detail set coming in, the gold medal models set for U.S. destroyers and cruisers, and I've also got a set of the Skywave replacement parts coming in, just so I can get those 5-inch guns cleaned up. In case you're curious, for the plans, we are going to do a USS Johnston by herself with this Cushing kit. We are going to do a USS O'Bannon with the Skywave kit, alongside, or rather turning in front of, a USS Atlanta, the Dragon kit. And then the Fletcher, I don't know, you know, I'll find a use for it somewhere. I actually got 2 USS Fletchers because these things are cheap, and like I said, they were so darn plentiful in the war, you can always find a space for them in your vignette, be that what it may. Speaking of price, you know, the Tamiya kits, they're $9 to $10 a piece. And again, this is online for cheap, used. And there's other different options from Skywave and Pit Road as well, and the Fletchers. You know, Tamiya comes out with other kits. Skywave has the other kits, but they're all pretty similar to each other. So this should give you a decent overview of what you get out of the box with these kits. I hope you enjoyed this quick look at the Fletcher-class in 1/700 scale. As always, keep watching the blog at themuseummodeler.com. I'm sorry, themuseummodeler.wordpress.com, and Facebook page is also facebook.com/themuseummodeler. Thanks again for checking this out, and happy modeling to you.